Broadcasting live and around the world. From Cabana One, the only podcast that's all ball bearings. Your ultimate source for everything Fletch.
Moon River. Whew. Thank you, Doc. You ever serve time?
Laker Jim and his beat reporters will stop at nothing to make sure Fletch lives forever. They don't shower much. This is FletchCast.
Thank you, Sammy, and welcome back to FletchCast. I'm your host, Laker Jim. Along with me are two guys I had a very tough time recasting, Jake and Big Bob. Boys, it's a recasting episode that we've all been waiting for.
I have been losing sleep over this, going back, changing things, picking the best person, then realizing that's a terrible pick. It's been so much fun, but I'm so excited for this episode. This might be the most excited I've been for an episode yet.
I spent about 20 minutes, went down the list. I'm like, yeah, that sounds good. That looks good. That looks good. So I appreciate the effort, Bob, and you'll probably see it in my list versus your list.
There are some parameters to recasting Fletch, and let me just start at the top by saying I think we can all agree it's a perfectly casted movie from top to bottom.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
So we're just here to have a little fun, okay? Try to clear your mind, erase your memory, and open up your imagination to a Fletch world with different actors.
Mm-hmm.
What we're going to do is we're going to recast the 1985 Fletch with new actors from 1985. Then what we're going to do is take a little break, and then we're going to recast the same movie with actors from 2022. Now, the only real parameters are, there are no parameters. The person has to be alive or freshly dead. You can gender bend. You can switch races. You can go up and down with age if you want. Where appropriate. You wouldn't have a younger Stanton Boyd and an older Gail Stanwyk because that's her father. So where appropriate, you could do what you want with the age. You can use your imagination and your creativity to recast Fletch. You boys ready?
Oh, I'm excited.
So I have a question for you guys. Did you guys consider any kind of film budget for the characters, or did you just say unlimited money?
No. I never thought about that once.
Yeah.
I thought about that too, in the respect that, like, I cast a hell of a lot of stars in my movie.
Every one of mine is a well-known, I think.
All right. I'm glad I'm not alone with that.
Oh, no, yeah.
Yeah, if we would have went like DraftKings style, where we had a $50,000 budget, and we had you spent all your money on Fletch, and you really had some budget actors.
Yeah, DraftKings is a great way to put it. Yeah.
If it was that way, LJ would be playing Stanwyk.
Oh my God! If it was that way, I would have literally blown the whole allotment on Stanton Boyd.
Hey, and before we get started, hats off to Patricia Mock. She was the casting director of Fletch, and she knocked this cast out of the park. There's no way we can come close to her cast. So just before we get started on this sacrilege task, we just wanted to pay homage to her. Jake, is there anything else we would know her from, Patricia Mock?
Heaven Can Wait.
Oh, okay.
With Warren Beatty. The Blue and Gray TV miniseries, The Golden Child.
Oh, one of my favorites. She's no slouch.
So she did Fletch and Fletch Lives.
Oh, perfect.
Fantastic.
Yeah, so she did both of them.
Oh, I did not realize that. Hey, listen, when you're great, right? You go back to the well, you hit one more out of the park. All right, guys, let's get started on the FletchCast recast.
1985.
All right. Who do you think is the best person to start with, Laker Jim?
Well, let's start with Fletch.
Okay.
He's our lead. He would be the person that we would cast first.
Virtually impossible to find somebody other than Chevy.
Agreed.
To play this role. He's iconic. He's our Fletch. But if we had to.
We have to. Bob, why don't you start us off?
All right. So in my 1985 recast, keeping it in the 80s, this is one of the hardest, most difficult choices I had to make. Another 80s movie that was so popular with the Naked Gun series. So my original choice was Leslie Nielsen, believe it or not.
Surely you can't be serious.
It would totally change the tone of Fletch. It would be more of a kind of a slapsticky kind of movie. But I realized, you know what, that would change it too much. So my final choice was Michael Keaton.
Oh my God.
That's a great pick.
I cannot believe you have that. That is my pick as well.
Get out of here.
No, are you
I cannot
serious?
believe we have the same person.
Wow. I think it's going to happen quite a bit, actually.
I didn't think it would happen at all. I could just picture Michael Keaton in the newspaper office situation.
Yes.
And I'm talking Michael Keaton from Dream Team. I'm talking Michael Keaton from Night Shift. You know,
Mr. Mom. That he was huge. I mean, he's still huge, but in the 80s,
I could picture his sarcasm with Frank. I could picture his, his double talking, his fast talking, but also like kind of being a bum slouch sitting at his desk with his feet up. Like, Frank, listen, you'll get the story. You'll love it. I could just see Michael Keaton in that role.
And plus he's got that ladies man quality to him,
Yes. Yep.
Which is so important.
I cannot believe we both have Michael Keaton.
I can't believe it. How about you guys?
I can't believe it. I can't believe it.
We have very similar brain cells.
My two runners up that I had in consideration also was Ted Danson and John Ritter.
Oh, okay. My other runner up was Steve Guttenberg. Hopefully Jake doesn't have any of those.
Well, I had Steve Guttenberg in my final couple too. In fact, he was my other pick.
Okay.
It was between him and my pick.
Uh-huh.
So Guttenberg was there too, because I thought he could probably pull it off too.
Yeah.
But my pick is a little bit more handsome, but I think he's got the comedy chops to do it too. Rob Lowe.
Oh,
wow.
Good call.
That is a fantastic pick.
And Rob Lowe's a Fletch fan. Listen to this. Give me 1 second. Okay.
Fletch. Hello. When we used to check into hotels under fake names, I often used John Cocktoaston.
God, it's so great to hear stuff like that.
That is a really good pick.
Because he was huge in the 80s. I mean, he's still big today, but he was young, like mid-20s, good-looking guy, but he's really funny. He could play that shtick, I think. And I just think for a young Fletch, which is, if with the book, he is only in his mid-late 20s. I just think he would have been perfect in that role.
Yeah, he could have played that, or he could have played Stanwyk. But honestly,
and you're right.
I think the way he played in Austin Powers. I think it was the second Austin Powers movie. He showed that he could kind of have that range. And we know Rob Lowe has range.
Well,
but
Parks and Rec. I mean, look how great he was in Parks and Rec. I mean, he's hilarious.
Yeah, Parks and Rec. The range he has on these shows. Yep. To be that kind of heartthrob yet comedic. Yeah, absolutely great. These are all great picks. We're off to a great start.
I considered Rob Lowe for a couple different parts, but I also was thinking just like if you had to go with the slapsticky kind of Chevy physical comedy, I was just thinking maybe John Ritter could have pulled that off.
Yeah,
is a Three's Company type of fall around and that kind of thing.
I could see it.
Yeah, if we were casting next, we would cast Stanwyk next.
Okay, so Stanwyk, I have a young Michael Douglas.
Oh my God. I cannot believe this. Look at my list.
Are you serious? Oh yeah, you got it.
I also had Michael Douglas, and as a backup, I had Patrick Duffy. A young Patrick Duffy in the suit on the beach as well.
I can see both, yeah.
But Michael Douglas is menacing. I mean, look at Wall Street. I just think him and Lowe, I thought would play off each
Very
other
good
really
casting.
well. So yeah, I can't believe you had him too.
This happened only because last night nobody disclosed anybody's picks to each other.
No,
but what I said to everybody is, I bet my life nobody has the same actors. And right off the bat, I have the same top two.
I saw this coming. I have a very evil Stan Gable style Ted McGinley.
There's something fishy about these pies.
I could see that.
I've said, I thought that in the past I've said I thought Ted McGinley would have been a good Mahoney in the Police Academy series, but I think that Ted McGinley can play that asshole character like he played with Stan Gable, and I think it might have been a little bit different of a tone, but probably not too far off from the way Tim Matheson played the character. But I think he's the guy that could have done a great job, and he has the right build
from the waist up.
Yeah, I would imagine. Who do you want to do next, LJ?
Let's go with Gail.
Yeah, I was gonna say stick in the Stanwyk family.
I wasn't crazy about this casting, but I was a little stuck, and I just couldn't get this person sort of out of my head. I casted Farrah Fawcett in the role.
Okay,
I had thought of that too. Blonde, good looking. Yeah, absolutely. That was up there too for me.
At the time, she wasn't young. Dana Wheeler was what, 19, 20 something.
Yeah, she was in her early mid-20s, I think.
So that's going to make Gail a little older, but still a perfect casting because desirable. So yeah, I agree. I think that's a great one.
What do you got, Big Bob?
This is going to be obscure. Somebody in the 80s who was a big, growing popular star, but really never peaked into the 90s, was a woman who played in a lot of roles in the 80s. Secret of My Success, Ruthless People, Legend of Billie Jean, Supergirl.
Oh,
Helen Slater.
Helen Slater. Yeah, that's a good pick. I like her. I always thought she's hot. She's good looking.
When you think of 80s kind of blonde, kind of that kind of role, I think that I'm surprised that she didn't get considered, or I wouldn't be surprised to find out that she was considered for the casting, because she was in a lot of 80s movies in that time. She was red hot in the mid to late 80s. And yeah, I think that, she would have been an easy slam dunk for the character. What about you?
I have Daryl Hannah.
Behold the mermaid!
Oof. How could you forget Daryl Hannah?
Yeah, I thought Daryl Hannah. She's. I always thought she looks good. I mean, from Splash, so she was. She was getting there in the early mid '80s.
Absolutely.
I think she would have been a good
Wall
pick.
Street.
Yeah.
Wow. All great picks. All blonde.
Really good. We're on a roll here. Why don't we go in order of the list that was put out there by Jake, and let's continue with Frank.
Okay.
This is an important one. He's the antagonist at work. Who do we got for Frank?
Well, originally played by Richard Libertini. You think to yourself, oh, only one man could play Frank. So in that case, of course, I have two. My first choice, which I didn't finalize on, was George Karlin. I think that I can just picture him,
and we've talked about that. Yeah,
with that neurotic shaking the coffee pot, but he wasn't the guy that I decided was going to get my nod. My final choice was a guy who was huge in the 80s, Dabney Coleman.
Oh, that's a good pick. Yeah. I never even thought about him. Yeah.
James, I know sometimes the names don't really help, so I'm going to give you an idea. Modern Problems, Short Time, 9 to 5, War Games, Dragnet, Hot to Trot.
He's got the mustache.
Yeah.
I think that he could play, just from War Games alone, the way he's so neurotic in that movie, the way he's constantly worried about, the nukes going off and everything. He could play that, I need a deadline. He showed in that movie he could play that character so well. And he was the guy that I thought would just been perfect. Now, who do you guys have?
I was trying to think of somebody now, like my lead is Michael Keaton. So somebody who I thought would be a good person to work off Michael Keaton was Eugene Levy.
Oh, that's a great pick. Yeah, okay. I love Eugene Levy.
Eugene like yelling, at Fletch, and demanding the story. I pictured
I could see
in that role.
Absolutely.
I also gave I also took into consideration maybe Howard Hessman.
Oh yeah, that's another great pick.
Yeah, that's a great pick. Yeah.
Well, I've got someone that had a little newsroom experience back in the 60s and 70s, and I thought he would be great. Ed Asner.
Asner. Yes. I thought of him too.
I just thought
that was a great.
I thought Ed Asner would be a good Frank, and he's funny, and he definitely can be. Yeah. He was Lou Grant. I mean, I just think he would have been really funny.
I think that we're going to see in some cases on this list, certain characters are picked for certain roles by someone, and then they might come back to play someone else in a different role later.
Right.
It's happened a few times, but yeah, those are great picks. I mean, I think all around you have a theme of thinning hair, and you have a theme of neurosis that borders on the psychotic.
My guy has a very, very full afro, though.
Yeah.
In 85.
Yeah, absolutely.
Is Larry next?
I think we move right. You stay in the office.
Okay.
Move on to Larry.
All right. My Larry is a young Sigourney Weaver.
Wow.
Oh,
that's a good pick.
Yeah.
Damn. I see. I saved a little money on this pick, and that Sigourney Weaver is a very expensive actor.
Yes, but remember, there's no budget. I thought
there's no budget. There's no budget, but if there was, I would have saved a little here. I went with someone who is really not that well known, but definitely somebody from the 80s. Joyce Heiser from Just One of the Guys.
Oh, yes. I love her. Yes, she was the main character.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had a crush on her. Wow.
Everybody did in the 80s.
Do you remember her, LJ?
Oh, my God. She had the most perfectly shaped tits I've ever seen.
Where do you get off having tits?
I know. She had that flash scene.
Oh, my God.
She walked around in that bikini in the beginning of the movie.
The way I thought about this, the way I came to this was, who was a huge 80s crush of mine?
Oh, yeah.
And that's how I landed on her. She was a huge 80s crush
Helen
of mine.
Slater,
probably
too.
Still is.
I thought Helen Slater was a good pick, too.
But yeah, she was the one I landed on. What about you, Laker Jim? Who would you land on?
I wish I would have thought of Sigourney Weaver because I really do like that pick. I went with Janine from Ghostbusters.
Okay.
I don't know what her real name is,
Oh, Annie Potts. She's
I
cute.
went with her as a real good assistant and sidekick.
Absolutely.
I went away from the look of Gina Davis and just like who could really help Fletch back in the office. And I just could picture Janine from Ghostbusters taking the calls, looking things up.
Hello, Ghostbusters. We got one!
Absolutely. And when you're doing this, she has such a thick New York accent. Are you keeping that accent, or are you having her do her Southern accent? She could do either.
I'm not crazy about the accent.
I know you have accents. So maybe she's going to have to do some sort of non-committal, non-regional dialect for you to get through that. But
I also considered a kind of a tomboyish Meg Ryan.
You know, Meg Ryan was there for me too, and I thought about that as well. I thought she was really good because she was in the '80s. She was getting big, like Inner Space. And she was in Top Gun. She played Goose's wife in Top Gun. So yeah, that would have been a good pick too.
I almost selected Meg Ryan for Gail Stanwyk, but I went elsewhere.
All right, let's cast Gillett next. Okay.
I can't wait to hear these picks.
You want me to start?
Yes, you start.
Much like anything I do, once something sticks in my head, I can't get rid of it. I cast Sweet Chuck.
Oh, yes. That's a great pick. Yes. Love him.
Oh! Wait, what if we were to...
What was that? I like it.
I love him.
I really like that pick. Shit, I wish I thought of that. What about you, Jake?
I went with someone, again, who's a little bit well-known, but I think, has that nerdy aspect, which is funny. I casted Harold Ramis.
Wow.
Very cheerful. My parents didn't believe in toys.
And I almost went Rick Moranis.
Oh, man, that would have been good, too.
So either of those I thought would have been really good, but I went with Ramis there.
You never even had a slinky?
We had part of a slinky, but I straightened it.
I went a different route. I went with somebody who's not really known for their acting, at least not in front of the camera, but has the look. I thought this guy had the look. And he's only really been in 2 movies that I love him for. And those 2 movies are Trading Places and Blues Brothers. I went with Frank Oz.
Oh, yeah, Frank Oz, voice of Yoda. Yeah, of course, yeah.
I think that he's got the right look, and he can, just the way he always
He was in Spies Like Us.
So, yeah.
Remember? He was the exam administrator.
Could you hold my wallet while I take the test, please? There's $1,000 in there. Or maybe there isn't. You know what I mean?
Are you saying I can take this money if I help you pass the test?
What do you think?
Yep.
Sit down.
Yep. And the way he could play somebody who's so disgusted with your behavior, I think.
Oh, that's pretty funny.
Yeah, it would have been a little different than the way George Weiner played it, but I think he would have played that role well. The way he's just disgusted by the way you act and the way you behave.
Very good. Very good casting. All right, now we're going to take it to the beach a little bit.
Get your sunblock.
We're going to cast Fat Sam next.
Why don't you go first, LJ?
I didn't think too long on this one. Try to think of somebody that would look good sitting in a beach chair.
Okay, yeah.
I cast John Goodman.
It's a great pick.
Wow.
He's great in that.
Yeah.
He's going to come back later on this list.
Okay. I think Goodman would have been great.
Yeah.
He's so funny.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. And I could picture him playing that Revenge of the Nerds coach, sitting there like, when it comes, it comes, and just having no patience for your impatience, kind of deal. Wow, that's a great one. I went with somebody who could probably, you think about Fat Sam, the person has to be portly. You went with portly and tall. I went with portly and short. I have Danny DeVito.
Oh, that's a great pick.
Yes,
that's a great pick.
A lightly bearded Danny DeVito who kind of like Throw Mama from the Train, which I recently watched. For the most part, he just is kind of dismissive towards everything around him, and I could picture him doing that same kind of acting in this movie.
You killed a person. You're a murderer. You took a life. You're right. I'm no good. How could I do that? I'm a sick cows.
Yeah, I can picture Danny DeVito perfectly. Now, listen, but this is one character that if we've wiped our memory clean of the original Fletch, and you were just going by the script and you were just going by the book,
it could be totally different. He's skinny guy. Yeah, with the beard. Yep.
So you can go that direction. You really could go any way with this character.
Yeah.
I picked someone, again, a little bit more well-known. I picked John Candy.
Oh, I thought of him too.
Wow. I'll be honest. I didn't pick John Candy for any of the 80s characters. And now I'm upset I didn't.
Yeah, I thought John Candy would have been really good as Fat Sam.
Candy is so good in everything.
I'm picturing Candy and Blues Brothers with that kind of hair, where it's like, like the mustache, the hair.
Oh God, he's so great. Orange whip, 3 orange whips.
Yeah. I could picture James is already
You got to
drop that
so
soundbite in.
Who wants an orange whip? Orange whip? Orange whip? 3 orange whips.
Does John Candy also have the sunburn?
Summer Rental. Yes. Another great movie. Oh my God.
It's a good base. Good base.
That's a good visual. Are we staying on the beach? You want to go with Gummy?
Yeah, let's stay on the beach with Gummy. Bob, who do you got?
I went with someone who isn't the traditional Gummy. I went with Big Trouble in Little China, Revenge of the Nerds 2, James Hong.
Oh.
He played Lopan in Big Trouble in Little China. He played, I think his name was Snotty or Snot or something. Just, I think that the visual, it has to be someone who's frail, and it has to be someone who is unkempt. And when you picture him in Revenge of the Nerds 2, I think that him kind of lumbering up to Fat Sam's Burger Shack and handing the drugs off, and the way cops are always beating me up, and everything.
This room is a pigsty. Thank you.
I think that now he's not a black character, which a lot of people think, oh, you have to stay, if you're thinking that you have to stay within sex or race or anything like that. I don't think we have to do that at all, and I think that you could easily make a female character male or male character in your own list as well. It's something you should consider doing in a lot of cases. But I think that he would work really well, in that character. Just someone who's frail, who's easily taken advantage of, and that's why I landed on him. Who do you guys have?
I picked a skinny, and I kept with that thin. Michael Winslow from Police Academy.
Wow.
No sound effects, but but I thought he would have been really good.
Shit, and we could have gotten sound effects though.
Wish I would have thought of him.
Yeah,
Damn,
I thought he was really
that's
good.
a great call.
What do you got?
I went with Bruce Leroy from The Last Dragon.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah, he was good.
Oh,
it's a great movie.
I feel like the world is divided between people who have seen Last Dragon and people who haven't. If you have, that's a great pick. If you haven't, you have no clue, but you should see it.
All right, if you don't know who that is, my backups were Todd Bridges,
okay,
and Larry B. Scott, who played Lamar Luttrell from Nerds.
Oh my God, you got to be kidding me! I have Larry B. Scott as Creasy, Ralph Seymour's character.
Oh wow!
You're not gonna. Isn't that crazy? Again, just keep with the frail and the tired and everything. I can picture Larry B. Scott playing that so well. But listen, this was the hardest character I had to choose out of the entire list. So I don't want to just say, oh, I just landed on Larry B. Scott and that was it. No, I also had 2 other people who I couldn't decide on. One was the guy who played Chainsaw in Summer School.
Oh yeah, and he was good.
And the other one was the guy who played Damone in
Fast Times. Fast Times. Yeah, that's a good. Those. But
I did ultimately land on Larry B. Scott. What about you guys for Creasy?
LJ.
Well, I can prove this to Jake. I stayed in the Nerds family as well with Creasy, and I picked Booger.
Oh yeah.
Oh, we're all in the Nerds family. Man, Nerds is really popular for this casting.
I could just picture Booger sitting there.
Perfect.
Looking like he hasn't slept in a week.
So I went completely in the opposite direction. Completely. And I picked a young teen actor, a young Will Wheaton as Creasy.
Yeah, very young.
Yeah, very young, like late teens, So I thought he would be.
That's a good pick.
So let's go to the airport.
We're recasting Bud and Willie.
Oh, I can't wait to hear these. You have to start, LJ.
Man,
you have to.
Yeah, this is gonna be huge.
I cast Tom Wopat as Bud. Take that, Gilliam.
Tom Wopat from the Dukes of Hazzard.
He stole another role from Gilliam. And then for Willie, I cast Andy Kaufman.
Oh, that's pretty funny.
Yeah, kind of sticking with the whole mechanic look from Taxi. So ideally, those actors should probably be swapped. But for the sake of the Gilliam joke, I did a little stunt casting and reversed them a little bit.
Little dig.
Jake, how about you?
So for Bud, I picked Jim Varney.
Hey, Burn. Know what I mean?
Ernest.
Wow, that's a great pick. Ernest himself.
Great pick. That's perfect.
I just said, he's goofy.
That's
He's
awesome.
kind of looks like him a little bit. He kind of looks like so. Jim Varney, and then for Willy, I picked Michael McKean.
Great actor. Love him.
I don't want to get off your Jim Varney bud yet. He could make the great faces the same way that Burton Gilliam can.
Yeah, that's why I picked him.
Great pick. And who did you say you had for Willy?
Michael McKean from he's been around forever. Laverne and Shirley. And
you don't have to tell us from. Yeah, we love him. Clue.
Bob, who do you got?
You're going to like my butt. You're going to like my Willy. I think you're both going to be impressed with my Willy. It shows I put thought into this. I went with Ed O'Neill, Al Bundy himself.
Right. Oh my God, that's a great pick. Yeah.
I think that he could.
I love Ed O'Neill.
What the hell do you need ball bearings for?
That's a great
I think
pick.
that he'd be perfect.
This is Married with Children, Ed O'Neill.
4 touchdowns in one game. Yes.
Kind of playing almost playing it like the character he played in Wayne's World, where he plays the coffee shop owner who's psychotic.
You know what I like to do?
Yeah, I know what you'd like to do. You'd like to find the guy that did it. Rip his still beating heart out of his chest and hold it in front of his face so he can see how black it is before he dies.
Actually, I was thinking about filing a grievance with the union.
Well, the world's a twisted place.
Very easy to anger.
Mm-hmm.
That kind of Ed O'Neill. My bud, I mentioned earlier that we were going to have people that would repeat, and since then we've seen it a dozen times. But my bud is actually, I went with Eugene Levy, and mainly because I thought somebody who could emote facially, and that guy could do the eyebrows better than anybody. And the only person that could beat him in eyebrow work is maybe The Rock. But he is. I could picture the eyebrows the whole time, I guess it could be the Fletcher, and almost like the Lou Glutz version of Eugene Levy, where he's kind of like a used car salesman. I guess it could be that, not really want to commit to what the problem is.
I know what must have happened. It didn't come in.
I can picture everybody that we mentioned perfectly in those roles.
So, man, those are all. That was a great casting for the three of us, because we all had great people for those two, and that's such an iconic scene. No, that's perfect. Let's stay within the airport, kind of universe here. Let's go with Stanton Boyd next.
So I picked for Stanton Boyd, Wilford Brimley.
Perfect. Good casting.
No nonsense.
Yeah, I just thought he would be good.
What the hell are you doing in my office?
I just think, yes,
old man.
Exactly.
Yep, perfect.
So that's who I had.
I wanted somebody that would be super annoyed at Fletcher's allegations, could deliver the Jesus H. Christ on a popsicle stick line, might be a little old to be Gail's father, but maybe he had her late in life. Jackie Gleason.
Wow.
Oh, yeah.
Perfect.
He was still around the age from,
absolutely.
Yes, absolutely. Honeymooners. And yes. So that's a great pick.
Yeah.
I love that pick.
Now I went a totally different. This is where my list starts getting a little. I think I started getting sleepy one night when I was putting this together. I thought I want to go away from the Kenneth Mars serious, and I want to really make this a more memorable scene. In a lot of cases, I wrote what would make this person, the movies that would maybe the portrayals they've had in other movies that would make this person kind of right for the role. And under this, I wrote, before I say the person's name, I wrote, and the character goes in a completely different direction. And I chose Rodney Dangerfield.
Oh, that's
now,
funny.
It wouldn't be the same kind of scene where it would be a serious scene. It would be just those two riffing off each other. And I just think that it would have been a different way to do the scene. So different, but still good.
Yeah, let's keep the momentum going. Let's go with the Chief next. Chief Karlin with a K. Okay, now I had a couple people in consideration here. Okay, I considered Larry Miller. You know Larry Miller from
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Oh, he would have been a great Gillett.
I considered Rip Torn.
Okay. Yeah.
Yes.
But I in the end I cast Charles Napier from Blues Brothers.
Wow, great call.
Yes.
Great
that's a good pick.
That's like a gritty guy you wouldn't mess with from the South. You knew guy that looks like he would do some stuff, like
you're gonna have
take a murder.
You're gonna have a rough time writing your Jane Doe column with no fucking teeth.
Yeah.
So I went with more gritty guy and cast Charles Napier.
I love it. I went with someone who really didn't survive more than one movie franchise in the 80s, but really should have. Thomas F. Wilson, Biff from Back to the Future.
Oh yeah.
I think he's got the right build for the tall kind of I don't even know if he's just a big guy. and just a bully. I thought, who's the best '80s bully other than Johnny from Karate Kid? Well, he's too young. I'm going Thomas F. Wilson. I'm going Biff from Back to the Future.
Hey, you went young with the character too, because in '85, young guy.
Biff. I mean, listen, Joe Don Baker was probably in his 40s, but probably looked in his 60s in that role because that's just the way he is. But Biff was probably in his 20s to 30s, but looked in his 40s.
Right.
When you think of Back to the Future, he played 3 different incarnations of himself, and I thought that he was a good call. Who do you got, Jake?
So we talked about this character last night, or this actor. I actually casted Ned Beatty.
Yeah. That's a good call.
Yeah, he can be very evil, and he looks kind of like a police chief. So I was like, and Beatty was huge in the 80s, so I had Ned Beatty.
Yeah, different tone, but still works.
Let's head on over to Utah now.
Oh,
we have two castings over there, Marvin and Velma.
Listen, I'm gonna go first here because mine are nonsensical. Okay, what I did with these two characters is I took somebody who was already in the movie and recasted them in this role, just because I love this. I love the character I chose for Marvin Stanwyk with all my heart. Rest in peace, Chick Hearn.
Hey, how about Fletch?
And for his wife,
yeah.
Velma Stanwyk, I went with his real life wife, who has no acting credits under her belt, Marge Hearn, just because I thought, why break up the pair?
Oh, Bob's trying to earn some brownie points with me. Great casting.
Don't call him Laker Jim for nothing.
Now listen, I didn't know where I was going with this one.
Me neither.
Mine are also some semi-nonsensical. I cast the old man from Teen Wolf, the old liquor store man from Teen Wolf.
Oh my God. Give me ID, Sonny. You little bastards just won't give up, will you? Listen, no ID, no goddamn beer. Can't you get that through your thick skull?
Hang on, I got to stop you right there. When Laker Jim and I were talking about doing this a couple weeks ago, he said, listen, there's a lot of cases where I'm not going to know who the actor is. I'm just going to say what they're from and you'll know. This is what he meant.
But you all know who I'm talking about.
That old man was legitimately scary in Teen Wolf, the way he was.
He was.
Such a gatekeeper and so mean. No goddamn beer. Can't you get that through your thick skull?
I can picture him saying that to Fletch.
I want a keg of beer right
No
now.
goddamn wedding photos. I love it.
And then for Velma, I was again kind of clueless. I must have checked out this day, and I cast the woman that plays George Costanza's mother on Seinfeld.
Oh yeah. She's
so I pictured the two of them. I could picture her kind of pushing Fletch to look at the album and stuff like that. So those were the two oldies that I went with.
So I had an oldie who was an old actor that was still around. For Marvin, I picked Jimmy Stewart.
Damn it! You guys are good.
And then for Velma, a little younger, but I went with Betty White.
Damn it, Jake! You nailed this one.
Yes. Marvin and Velma, Jimmy Stewart, and Betty White.
Perfect casting. Okay, now here's another one that's very close to our heart.
I think that those two from Jake win the casting for all of our choice. Those Betty White, just cute. I can just picture her saying "cute as a button" and the Jimmy Stewart cadence, the way he speaks. You want to see pictures? Those, I think Jake won the day with the Stanwyks. All right, let's move on.
He dropped 2 big ones on him. All right, I'll start with Underhill. Okay,
Underhill.
So I went back and forth. So I went with someone who I thought could pull it off. Underhill, Christopher Lloyd.
Oh,
wow.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
Very interesting.
Different take on the character. Laker Jim, I have a feeling you and I are going to have the same person here.
You think so?
You go first.
I went with Ed Rooney from Ferris Bueller, Jeffrey Jones.
That's a great pick. Yeah.
That's a good pick.
I thought Jeffrey Jones could pull it off.
Yeah.
Just the way he can explode.
Yeah.
In Bueller, in Easy Money.
Howard the
Duck. I went with Jeffrey Jones as that really annoyed.
So we didn't have the same person.
I also had Robert Stack as my backup.
Oh man, that would have been a good one too.
Robert Stack.
Now, for me, there's only one person I feel like that could play Ted Underhill with the same kind of hatred and passion that William Traylor brought to the character, and that's Ted Knight.
That's a great pick too.
I could just picture him just being furious and seeing the bill and freaking out and banging on the door. I think he's the guy.
That's a good one.
You'll get nothing and like
He
it.
certainly would have done the character justice. Let's go with one of our last guys, Dr. Jellyfinger, Joseph Dolan.
All right, when I did Jellyfinger, I thought who in the past I could picture playing a doctor. And for some reason, Ghostbusters 2, small role in Ghostbusters 2 jumped in my head. I went with Brian Doyle Murray.
Oh, that's a good pick. I like Brian Doyle Murray. Well, he's in Caddyshack, just like that night.
Absolutely,
yeah.
Yeah, I think I was on a little bit of a Caddyshack kick. But just the way he plays in Ghostbusters 2, he has a bit part playing the psychiatric ward doctor. And I think the way he played that doctor would have been translatable to the way he would play Dr. Dolan.
That's a good pick. That's a real good pick.
LJ?
I had Ned Beatty. He came up before.
Oh, okay.
But,
yeah. That's a good pick too.
Ned Beatty sort of like
he's perfect actually
by Fletch.
I'm not gonna lie, Ned Beatty was my other pick. Just because listen, in Back to School, the way he plays Dean Martin is just perfect. And I think that
oh my god, he's so great.
The kind of backhanded nervousness he has in that character would translate well to Jellyfinger. I don't see anything down here, but I'll look again, Right. Yeah. Who do you got, Jake?
I'm satisfied.
I'm outraged.
I went totally different. I went John Lithgow.
Wow.
Ooh. You know what? I considered him for Underhill, actually.
That's a good pick.
Yeah. I just think he would have.
Killer.
He's funny and can be kind of serious. I just thought he would be really funny.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think that'd be a really good pick.
Love him in Harry and the Hendersons.
Oh yeah,
yeah,
absolutely.
All right, now our last sort of bonus casting, we threw this bone to Jake. Now in the book, there's a character named Bobbi, as you know. She's a 15-year-old drug-addicted prostitute. Jake, if we inserted this character into the movie, who would you cast as Bobbi?
I picked a young Ali Sheedy.
Oh, fantastic choice. Fantastic. Now she played the basket case from Breakfast Club, right? Yeah.
Yes,
that's
Breakfast
a great
Club,
pick.
and I just thought she looks a little. She can look strung out, and I thought she would be really
Love
good.
It.
All right, boys, let's head over to the voicemail for our fan of the week. FletchCast fan of the week goes to Ryan Novak, who called in with his list. So let's see how his recast matches up against ours.
Hello, Laker Jen and the crew of FletchCast. This is Ryan Novak, calling from Arizona, on Twitter at The Educator, because I'm a school teacher and Jewish, so that's where it came from. All right. For the 85 recast, I thought, why try to do a comedy? Because it's already perfect as a comedy and you can't improve upon perfection. So I thought about doing as more of a drama that has some comedic moments. So for the recast, I went with Fletch, played by Jeff Bridges. I think he could handle that balance of being a reporter, but also being kind of wry and kind of funny. For Stanwyk, I thought Dennis Quaid, kind of a similar look to Jeff Bridges, so it would fit in with the similar body type thing. And also Quaid just looks like a guy that could be sinister if he wanted to. For Gail, I went with Daryl Hannah. This is around the time of Splash. She would have been perfect. For Frank, I was trying to think of somebody, kind of a veteran character actor who would play that kind of newspaper publisher. So I went with Jack Warden. For Larry, I was trying to think of sort of young comedic actresses, and I went with Julia Louis-Dreyfus, who was on SNL.
Oh, yeah, that's a great pick.
For Gillett, James Cromwell. He was around. He was acting. He was playing a lawyer. For Fat Sam, I thought, somebody who strikes that balance of a guy who is falling on hard times and has kind of the weight of bad decisions. I thought Paul Winfield, just great character actor from the 80s.
Love Paul Winfield.
Gummy, I was trying to think of somebody young who could sort of embody that headed down the wrong path and all that. And I thought Don Cheadle, he was already acting at this point. Stuff.
Young Don Cheadle.
For Creasy, I thought of Downey Jr. This was a few years before Lester was ago, but I think he's tapping into that kind of part of his career, playing a guy with addiction issues who's headed towards a dark ending. Now, for Bud and Willie, since this part is still going to be kind of funny, I thought Judge Reinhold, Who just plays Judge Reinhold just plays a good caduceus guy, and for Willy, you want somebody a little bit more serious. And I thought Michael Madsen just looks like a guy.
It looks like him too.
Yeah, he looks like him.
Questions what he's being told. For Karlin, Paul Sorvino. Paul Sorvino has that kind of could be tough.
Oh yeah,
and looks like somebody that would kill you.
Good fellas.
Dan Boyd, I thought Robert Redford, small role, but he can play Errol Hannah's dad. For Marvin and Velma, James Garner and Doris Day, just older character actors.
Oh my God, I love that Garner pick.
Dennis Quaid's movie father. Underhill,
I love Garner.
Ted Knight.
Oh, Bob.
Hey,
there's your Ted Knight pick.
That kind of uptight, arrogant.
Another man of culture.
Club. Bobbi, Lisa Bonet. Years for Angel Heart, but kind of a more serious role. Drug addicted runaway. Thought she'd be great. Dr. Jellyfinger, Wilford Brimley.
Oh my gosh! Yes,
go.
the Wilford Brimley. Yes, I could see him in that.
I love the podcast. You guys are doing great work. I look forward every week. Take care. Be good. Bye.
Man, that was awesome. Thank you so much for calling in.
Great call.
For sharing that with us. I thought that he had about 95% were perfect.
Wonderful work. Wonderful.
We got to send this guy a shirt.
Yes.
Send us your address. We're going to send you a FletchCast shirt for that. That was amazing. This guy had a lot of good picks. And
oh my gosh, excellent.
Really funny.
Excellent
he
work.
Actually nailed a couple of ours as well.
Yeah.
All right, boys, why don't we split this into 2 episodes? Originally, I thought we were going to get this all into 1 episode here, but we're about 45 minutes right now. We had a lot of fun. We talked a little longer than I thought. So why don't we make this part 1 of the recast? Let's take a little break, gather our thoughts, reorganize our list.
And if you're listening at home, take this time now to reflect and make your own picks. Maybe pause.
Guys, thank you so much for your time. Thank you for listening. Hey, let us know how we did. Hit us up on social media and let us know what your favorite recasts were, where we really missed the boat. Look for part 2 to drop very soon. Thanks, guys. See you.